You try again. Something goes wrong. Maybe someone criticizes you. Maybe you fail publicly. Maybe things just don't work the way you hoped. And suddenly, something strange happens. Your motivation disappears. Your brain goes quiet. The thing you once cared about now feels distant. You tell yourself you're lazy, or weak, or that you just don't care anymore. But what if your brain isn't quitting? What if it's protecting you? Mental shutdown rarely feels dramatic. It's subtle. You stop trying as hard. You delay responding to messages. You avoid the task that once excited you. You tell yourself, you'll deal with it later, but later keeps moving further away. The strange part is, you know the opportunity still matters, but every time you think about it, a quiet heaviness appears. Your brain says, not now. Too risky. Too exhausting, and slowly, avoidance becomes the default. This pattern shows up everywhere. After one harsh comment online, you stop posting. After one awkward social moment, you withdraw. After one mistake at work, your confidence collapses. It's not the event itself. It's what your brain learns from it. In psychology, this is closely related to negative reinforcement learning. Your brain starts linking action with emotional pain. And once that association forms, your system tries to prevent it from happening again. Even if that means shutting down completely. But here's the part most people misunderstand. Your brain isn't malfunctioning, it's adapting. Mental shutdown is not weakness, it's a survival response. Your brain is constantly asking one question: is this safe? Not logically safe, emotionally safe. If an experience produces strong embarrassment, rejection, or failure, the brain marks it. It stores that moment like a warning sign. Next time you approach the same situation, your brain remembers. And instead of pushing forward, it pulls the brakes. This is not laziness. It's the nervous system trying to avoid repeating emotional injury. The problem is, the brain sometimes overcorrects. It protects you from the pain, but it also blocks the growth. So the real question becomes, why does the brain react this way? And why does it sometimes shut everything down instead of helping you recover? Inside your brain, two systems are constantly negotiating: the reward system and the threat system. The reward system, largely driven by dopamine, pushes you toward goals. But the threat system, centered around structures like the amygdala, detects danger. And emotional pain registers as danger. Think of it like a smoke detector. A smoke detector doesn't wait to confirm a fire. It reacts immediately to protect the house. Your brain works the same way. If a negative experience feels intense enough, the threat system becomes louder than the reward system. When that happens, dopamine drops, motivation fades, your brain reduces effort. Not because you don't care, but because your system is shifting into energy conservation mode. In behavioral psychology, this is sometimes explained through a simple mental model: approach versus avoidance. When experiences feel rewarding, the brain approaches. When they feel threatening, the brain avoids. And if avoidance becomes strong enough, the system simply shuts down the approach completely. This is why after one painful event, people sometimes stop trying altogether. But the interesting part is this: the shutdown isn't permanent, it's reversible. If you understand how the brain resets its learning signals, there are a few ways to help the brain reopen after shutdown, not through force, but through retraining the system. 1. Reduce the threat signal. The brain reactivates when perceived danger drops, so the first step is lowering emotional intensity around the task. Instead of returning to the full challenge, shrink it. If posting online caused embarrassment, don't post publicly yet. Write privately. Draft ideas. Practice without exposure. This works because the brain updates safety signals through small, non-threatening repetitions. Each safe repetition weakens the original fear memory. 2. Separate identity from outcome. After failure, the brain often merges identity with the event. I failed becomes I am a failure. This activates shame circuits, which intensify avoidance. The psychological counter is cognitive separation. Treat outcomes like data, not identity. For example, instead of I'm bad at presentations, shift to That presentation lacked preparation. Your brain processes this differently. One attacks identity, the other analyzes behavior, and the brain is far more willing to retry behaviors than identities. 3. Rebuild dopamine. Through progress, motivation doesn't create action. Action creates motivation. Dopamine spikes when the brain detects progress signals, even tiny ones. This is why completing small tasks, cleaning one desk corner, writing one paragraph, can suddenly restore momentum. The brain interprets completion as success feedback, and success feedback reactivates the reward system. 4. Re-expose yourself gradually. Avoidance strengthens fear. Gradual exposure weakens it. But the key is pacing. If someone freezes in social situations, the solution isn't jumping into large gatherings. It might start with one conversation, then two, then short group interactions. Each exposure teaches the brain, this situation didn't destroy me. Over time, the threat system quiets. 6. Integration. You can think of mental shutdown like a circuit breaker. When emotional overload happens, the brain flips the switch. Not to punish you, but to prevent further damage. The mistake most people make is trying to force the power back on. But the brain doesn't respond to pressure. It responds to safety. Small signals. Gradual progress. Repeated proof that the situation isn't as dangerous as it once felt. And when those signals accumulate, the system slowly reconnects. 7. Quiet, empowering close. If your brain has shut down after something painful, it doesn't mean you're weak. It means your system learned something very quickly, maybe too quickly. But learning can change, and safety can be relearned, not through pressure, not through harsh self-talk, but through small moments where your brain discovers something unexpected. That trying again doesn't always lead to pain, and sometimes it leads somewhere new.